Hello, I'm Danielle Conley, and welcome to Wealth Think Tank Television with your host, Dr. Roth Steele, providing the best financial literacy, investment, and generational wealth for your children, yourself, your family, and your business.
Welcome to Wealth Think Tank Television. I'm your host, Dr. Roth Steele, and you're listening to Wealth Think Tank Television. We're glad to have you on our show today. Like always, we have a phenomenal show today. And our show today is about dealing with inflation and what should you do when you're dealing with inflation and possibly, that's real, folks, recession. And I don't want to be a bearer of the bad news, but I do want to give you some quality, top-notch, good information that may help you and save you and impact your own economics in your personal, family, finance, and even in some cases, those of you who are entrepreneurs and business owners, how it can affect your business growth and expansion in the future as well. The first thing I want to talk a little bit about, Wall Street tumbles to the biggest loss, folks, in 2 years. That's according to the Consumer Price Index data. And I'm telling you, that was a huge tumble. That was Tuesday, September the 13th. So when we have those kind of tumbles, and we've had several this year, and it's continued to tumble down, let's be real. Don't fret, but let's be real. It is always better to deal with something if you stay ahead of the game, and even in finance, and the financial matters, your investing, your home, your mortgage, your banking, your savings. It's always better if you deal with it and you do it ahead and not wait till you're dealing with something and you're bankrupt. You don't want to wait to that at all. You really do not want to do that. And so our topic today is dealing with inflation. And how do you do that? How do you deal with inflation during a time when we're having some critical issue with the stock market tumbling down on Wall Street? The indicators don't always look good. If you will, the interest rate by the Federal Reserve is being raised. There's several different issues that you need to look at, especially whether you be an individual family member working for a company, or you're a business owner owning a company, or if you're just dealing with your personal finance, you need to look at some of these issues. First of all, the inflation rate right now is 8.5%. Folks, let me tell you, that's high. In fact, it's too high. And so we cannot, as a country, keep going on with any type of percentage of inflation at 8.55, and then now the stock is tumbling on Wall Street at the same time. Now, here's what I can tell you. The stock market needs to be not tumbling, it needs to be rising, 1. 2, is the inflation rate needs to be around about 4%, not 8.5, in order to maintain, if you will, the quality of financial life in the economy that we all need for the good of the country. Well, let me tell you, when the inflation rate is 8.5 and the stock market is tumbling, now that is invariably will impact and affect, and not in the best way, the gross domestic product. That will affect the job market. That will impact businesses where they may be looking to hire new employees, or maybe willing to raise the salary, the income of employees. Believe me, it will impact them greatly. So in the meantime, though, what do you do? What kind of investments you do? What do you do with your money? What do you do with your spending? What do you do with your family, your business as an individual? What do you do to deal both professionally and financially with your own money and your own investment and your own assets in order that you won't wait till the last minute that you will be affected? What do you do? Well, there's several things that you can do in order to deal with it that I will go over with you so that you can take note and learn and earn, and hopefully you will be better off if you do such. One of the first things you do is stop. Look at your cash flow, whether you're an individual, your cash flow that's coming into your home that you make, that you're working as an employee, married, one or two children. Look at your cash flow. Make sure that your cash flow is balanced. You know where every cent is coming from. And that when I really talk about your cash flow, that your cash flow matches your intake of income matches your spending amount that's going out. What do I mean by that? If you're making, I'm going to give what I call a really clear example. If you're making $100,000 cash flow wise, your spending should never exceed 75% of the $100,000 that you're making. You as a family, individual or a family unit, should always have at minimum $25,000 that's free of debt, free of spending, so that you have at least some kind of emergency fund, or better than that, you have some money that you don't have to touch that can go into some type of investment or savings account. You have that kind of money available to you. Now, the second thing is this here, spending. I know all of us love spending, going out to the stores, buying nice clothes, nice shoes, buy a new car. You want a new house. You want to go to the college football game. You want to go to a professional sport game. You want to take a vacation. I understand that you want to do everything. Let me tell you a secret, though. When you look at your cash flow and you budget, you might want to budget your vacation as part of your cash flow. So as you budget your vacation and part of your cash flow, you do not, and I will repeat this, overspend and get wild on spending. One of the biggest issues with a lot of folks today is, and I'm not picking on anybody, no generation or anything, some people just spend. Listen, all of us have to have a lid on spending. We have to have that presupposes another point. All of us really, whether you realize it or not, folks, you need to have a really sound, good budget in order that when you spend, you're spending within the budget that's already set, whether you be an individual family unit or whether you own a business, whether it's small business, a medium-sized business, or whether it's corporate America. We all need to have a lid on our spending. And we really need to have a certain amount of money that we don't touch. That's, if nothing else, it consists of two things. Number one, emergency funding. Number two, investment funding, that we can at least do those two things above and beyond any kind of spending that we do. Well, a lot of people don't understand that. They make $100,000, they spend $125,000. Stop. Red flag. No. If you make $50,000, you don't need to spend $50,000 because you're going to have some problems. So whatever you spend, deduct 25% out of it is what I'm really trying to say. So now you have 25%. and all of your money is not being spent. And now if an emergency occurs, you have a problem. And you know what? It might cause you to eat a few beans every now and then. So what? I'd rather eat a few beans than to be broke. It might cause you to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They actually do taste quite well. It may cause you to eat a couple of salads some evenings. It may cause you to eat some nice, delicious kale or some collard or turnip greens, some cornbread. Well, guess what? I'd rather eat those greens, and I know I have some money in the bank because I looked at my cash flow. I curbed my spending. I'm saving. I have some money. I'm not in trouble. I won't go bankruptcy. I'm not broke. Folks, this also for those who believe in God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Listen, those of us who truly believe in the Lord, Savior Jesus Christ, God don't want us to be broke and spend. I believe God wants us to be moderate, enjoy life, but also be very careful on how we spend our dollars, because it'll make a difference in your lifestyle. I know a lot of people who make good money, $100, $200, $300, $400,000. They're in debt because of their spending the wrong way. And you know what? You don't have to do that. Another thing that can help you, folks, that a lot of times people don't do, and I highly recommend this, is every year go get a financial exam. Well, what does that mean? A financial exam is when you go find a financial expert, a financial advisor, someone who truly understands your money. They can take all of your money, they can look at your whole financial portfolio, do an analysis of it, and when they do an analysis of it, they can make some recommendations for you, help you, help your spending, help your budget, help you investments. Just look at your whole financial outlook. Let me tell you another thought that you need to consider. A lot of times people have money invested in this type of investment A. All right? Now, if they knew by having a financial exam done by a financial advisor, which would give them an analysis of the investment that they have, now they could move their money from investment A to investment C. And guess what? Now investment C will pay you 10 to 20% more than what you had in investment A. Thereby, what happens to you now, you almost will double, and in some cases, triple the amount of investments that you have, because you took time out, got serious, took your money and the value of your money, and your family who needs your money. Guess what? You go to a financial advisor, financial expert, allow them to do an analysis of your investment. If they make a recommendation that you move or transfer your money, I'm not talking about spending it now. You simply transfer from one account that may not be giving you the best interest rate to a better account that will give you a higher interest rate. You're going to make more money. You're not going to lose any money. Now you have a better perspective, a better situation. And guess what, folks? Now you're going to make more money anyway. And now these are just some of the things that you can do to help guard against inflation. Folks, believe me when I tell you, we're in a recession. We're in an inflation period. Anytime you have 8.5, which is double what we should have, you got a real problem. We have a problem. But I don't want to be the bad cop. I don't want to be the bad news person. I have some more good news for you. So, again, when you're trying to deal with and deal with inflation on a professional, financial, and a personal level where it's going to impact your own money and how you will live the quality of life, the American dream that you desire, or that you may be already living and you want to continue to live that dream. Guess what? One of the biggest other things that you might want to do as well is you might want to look at, and I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 of them that you can look at so that you can say, you know what, let me do what I recommend you do, what we call a comparative analysis of where your money is now and where you potentially could put it. How do you do that? If you don't do nothing but go and allow, again, a financial advisor and an expert to do what we call run an illustration on the money where you have it right now, and then run a second illustration on money that you might consider in a new investment. And when that illustration is done, you look at them side by side, do a comparative analysis of the current investment that you have versus the potential new investment that you have, and see which one will give you the best deal, which one you will make the most money off of, which one that will carry you and help you better dealing with the current situation, particularly when we're living in a situation of 8.5% inflation. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, so now every single dollar and cent that you have, you can maximize the interest rate on it. You maximize your dollar. You maximize, if I would use this term, you use your money and you put it in a macroeconomic perspective versus a microeconomic perspective. In other words, you're going to raise the value, the amount, and the level of money and investment you have, because now you've done your homework, you've done your due diligence, you've been serious, you didn't take your money for granted, you looked at everything you need to look at, you allowed an expert to do a thorough financial examination, which is, listen, when you go to the doctor, who wants to go to a doctor and get a half examination and you're dead the next week? Nobody wants to do that. Listen, folks, what I'm telling you today is I call it financial prevention. When you go to the doctor, the medical doctor, you call it medical prevention. So keep you from either getting sick or dying right away. We're all going to die. Listen, death and taxes is going to come. You ain't got to worry about that. But are you ready to die right now? No. Are you ready to be broke today, tomorrow? No. That's why you need to have financial prevention. This is what I'm talking about today. This is really, I should have named the show Financial Prevention instead of dealing with inflation, right? This is really what you're getting, financial prevention. And so when you do that comparative analysis of a really good financial illustration of 2 or 3 different types of investments, all of them cannot be the same. One of them is going to pay you more money, and so without it being a no-brainer, you're going to go for the one that's going to pay you more money. It comes without question, folks. That's just what it comes down to. And I'm reminded, though, of this, and you'll probably hear me say this 1,000 times. I'm reminded, for those of us who have a spiritual lifestyle, I'm reminded of Jesus saying, "For I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly." That's even all more the reason why, folks, do your financial prevention. get you a financial expert. And if you don't have one, and if your financial expert is not working with you, get him or her to do their job and do it well. A few other things I need to just share with you about dealing with inflation and what I call financial prevention. And there's a few things that I would recommend you to put some of your money in. That way you do what we call diversify. Because guess what, folks? You don't want to, no one want to put all of their eggs, in one basket, do they? Diversify. So now, one of the very first things I recommend people to do when they diversify is, put some of your money in a whole life insurance policy. Why not? Some people think, I don't want a whole life. Well, you really should consider it. And especially those of you who are Generation X and those who are millennials, because you have a long time. If you're 20, 25, or 30, you got at least 20, 30 years to just grow and grow your money. Plus, folks, here's the thing. Whole life, imagine you had a whole life insurance policy today. 20 years from now, you looked at it and you need to get some money out. So imagine right now you invested in a whole life policy. Whole life has $100,000 in it, all right? And you want to pull out $10,000 out of that policy. Guess what? That whole life $10,000 that you're going to draw out, which is your money, your bank, is tax-free. You don't have to pay a cent on it, folks. It's tax-free. And one of the ways that you do financial prevention and you beat inflation is if you have your money in different markets that are tax-free. So when you pull it out, you don't have to worry about being taxed on it. I want to talk about a second one, though, that also I highly recommend, and you can put some money in it. And again, we're talking about diversifying your money so you're not putting it in one basket. The basket falls, it breaks, you lose that money, and you're broke. No, we're not talking about that. And that is a Roth IRA. Some of you may have one, some of you may not. So you put your money in a Roth IRA. And a Roth IRA, folks, you have to keep it for 5 years. Let it sit for 5 years. You just keep putting it in there. Now, it is capped at it's capped at $7,000 a year annually. It doesn't matter. You put $7,000 after 5 years, you got 35 plus your interest. But think about that 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. So you put money in a Roth IRA, and let's say now you have $110,000 in your Roth IRA, and you want to take out $20,000. You owe me $20,000, so you're going to take out $20,000. I'm just joking you. You want to take out $20,000 for a down payment on a new home or part of money for a vacation. You're going to the beach. Yeah, I know you're beach bum, just like me. So guess what? That $20,000 also is tax-free. You can't beat it. Folks, you cannot beat that at all. And so now you have two potential diversified investments that you can make, that you can put your money in, and you don't lose your money. A third one I highly recommend is what we call just a regular general fixed annuity. You take your money, you put it in a fixed annuity, and when you put it in that fixed annuity, of course it grows. And as it grows, again, you don't lose any money. It's diversified. And now, the difference between the annuity, though, is the annuity is tax deferred, not no tax. So when you take it out, there will be some tax on it. So, but while you're putting it in, it's not taxable, it's tax deferred. But it is a good place for you to put your money in because guess what? It's safe and you don't lose any money in it. So here's my point I'm trying to make to the television audience today. When you're trying to deal with inflation and financial prevention, you want to invest money that's either tax deferred or no tax when you withdraw it, or the tax is minimal when you draw it. Or the other point I want to make is when you invest your money, you don't lose your money. All of these, you don't lose your money. So you got a good situation going for you. Now, the last thing I want to just highly recommend you as we go and leave the show is put your money in what we call an annuity 10. Annuity 10. So guess what? You put your money in an annuity 10, it's tax deferred. Let's say, give you a good example. You put it in annuity 10, and that annuity 10, let's say you have $500,000. You put it in there. You put $500,000 in there. Number one, you don't lose a single cent. Number two, that $5,000 would turn to $1 million. Number three, you receive payments. In other words, a check for the rest of your life. Yes, it's taxed, but it's taxed only on what you take out at a time, which means it's minimal. So, but you don't lose any money. So now you have all of these good financial prevention methods and ways that you can keep your money, deal with inflation, still curb the consumer price index of 8.5, live happily thereafter, be blessed by God, and get the best out of your money. Folks, I want to thank you for watching our show. This is Wealth Think Tank Television with your host, Dr. Ralph Steele. And we come on at 2 o'clock Pacific, 3 Mountain, 4 Central, and 5 Eastern Standard Time. And thank you for watching our show. And if you want to be on our show, just give me a call. I'm Dr. Ralph Steele. A number is 817-729-0543. We'd like to thank our sponsors also, Mediation Worlds, Wealth Financial, Nexus International, and all of the rest of our television audience. Thank you and have a great day.